She did not know how many minutes she had left before her body gave up the fight. She only knew one thing. If she closed her eyes again, she would die right there in the snow. Lydia Hart staggered across the frozen field outside Cheyenne, her thin dress soaked and stiff with ice. Every step felt heavier than the last. Her fingers had turned blue, useless and numb, and she pressed her hands against her chest, trying to trap whatever warmth still lived inside her ribs. But the wind sliced through her clothes like a blade, cruel and unrelenting, as if the night itself wanted her gone. Behind her stood Burke Hanley's saloon. She had fled that place with nothing but the clothes on her back. No money, no horse, no coat. Just the ache in her arm, where Burke's fingers had bruised her the last time he grabbed her. He had told her she would never leave. He had said she belonged to him until a debt was paid, a debt she never owed, but she ran anyway. Now she could barely feel her legs. Her breath broke into jagged clouds that vanished as quickly as they formed. The edges of her vision darkened, closing in with every step. A quiet voice whispered inside her mind, steady and desperate, "Not yet, not here, do not die like this." Her knees buckled without warning. She fell hard into the snow, her cheek pressed against the ice. The cold no longer burned. It felt almost gentle now, like a blanket pulling her under. Her thoughts drifted, slow and heavy. If this was the end, at least Burke would never own her again. Somewhere far away, a sound cut through the wind. A horse, then boots crunching over frozen ground. She thought she might be imagining it. Pain did strange things to the mind. Then a man's voice broke through the storm, low and rough, edged with urgency. "Miss, can you hear me?" Strong arms lifted her from the snow. Her body felt weightless, as though she were made of paper. She caught the faint scent of leather and pine smoke. A heavy coat wrapped around her shoulders. She was pulled close to a chest that radiated heat. She forced her eyes open for one brief second. A bearded man stared down at her, his face carved by years of sun and sorrow. Jack McCready, the rancher who lived alone along Powder River. A man known by rumor as cold, silent, hard. But right now, he looked nothing like the stories. He looked afraid for her. "Stay awake," he said, his voice shaking. "Stay with me." Her lips barely moved. "Please, don't let me go." He held her tighter. "I won't. Not tonight." The storm howled as he carried her into his cabin. Firelight flickered across the log walls as he laid her on his bed. Her shivering was so violent the blankets jumped with every breath. He pressed warm cloths to her hands. Her skin barely reacted, and the fear in his chest tightened. She looked at him through heavy eyelids. "If I fall asleep, will I wake again?" Jack didn't answer. He only kept his hand on hers, silently willing life back into her body. And for the first time in years, Lydia felt something she thought she had lost forever. Safety. When Lydia opened her eyes the next morning, she didn't know where she was. For one long moment, she thought she had died and woken somewhere warm. Then she noticed the log walls, the low fire still glowing in the hearth, a worn coat hanging on, a chair, and Jack McCready standing at the stove, stirring a pot like it was part of his bones. He glanced over when he heard her move. "You're awake. Good. Eat something before you fall over again." His voice was calm, but the worry sat just beneath it. She pushed herself up slowly, her body aching in places she didn't know could ache. Her fingertips still burned, but at least she could feel them. Jack brought her a bowl of hot broth. She cradled it with both hands like treasure. The days that followed passed quietly. Mostly she stayed in bed, her hands wrapped in warm cloths, while Jack kept the fire alive day and night. Sometimes she drifted in and out of sleep while he sat nearby, carving bits of wood just to stay awake. By the fourth morning, she could stand without shaking. She stepped outside with a small basket and a little color back in her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered, unsure if he heard. He did. He nodded once, like a man who'd been thanked enough times and never learned what to do with it. The storm was fading, but Lydia knew she couldn't leave. Not yet. Jack knew it too. He stared out at the white fields stretching toward the hills. "If you head back now, you won't make it. Stay until the road's clear." Town meant Burke Hanley. Town meant chains disguised as routine. Going back wasn't living. It was walking backward into a dark room. She swallowed and spoke softly. I have nowhere safe to go. If I return, Burke will drag me back. I can't face that place again. Jack rubbed the back of his neck, thinking slow and careful. You can stay here a while, work if you want. Help with the barn. Fair trade. No trouble. Hope flickered inside her, small but bright. The ranch spread quiet and honest across Powder River Valley. It wasn't fancy, but it felt real. Lydia held her shawl close and whispered, maybe this bliss could be a beginning. She didn't know someone was already riding toward the ranch with anger in his pocket and her name on his tongue. Trouble arrived 3 days later. Jack was fixing a fence post when he spotted a lone rider approaching slow and deliberate, the kind of ride that didn't carry friendly intentions. Lydia stepped onto the porch with fresh biscuits, and the color drained from her face the moment she saw the horse. Burke Hanley. He reined in close, his smile thin and poisonous. Cheyenne's talking. Folks say you ran off with the old rancher. I left because I wanted to live, Lydia said, her voice steady this time. Before she could say more, Jack stepped between them. She owes you nothing. Burke dismounted and grabbed Lydia's wrist. Jack moved faster than expected. One shove, one punch. Burke hit the snow hard. Touch her again, Jack said, and you won't walk away. Burke rode off, promising revenge. Lydia sank onto the steps, shaking. Jack knelt beside her. You're safe here. She believed him, but silence followed, and in the west, silence meant sharpening teeth. Jack watched the trail more often. Lydia tried to live normally, but fear lingered. Then one afternoon 2 riders appeared, a deputy with a crooked badge, and Burke. The deputy waved a paper filled with lies about debt and ownership. Lydia stepped forward. That paper is a lie. The deputy hesitated, then lowered it. Burke cursed, but he knew he'd lost. He rode away again. That night, by the fire, Lydia felt fear ease and courage take its place. Later, on a quiet winter night, Lydia couldn't sleep. The cabin felt warmer than usual. Maybe it was the fire. Maybe it was the way Jack had stood between her and danger. She stood near the hearth, knowing this moment mattered. Jack lay on the bed, boots off, eyes closed. Worn, not weak. She walked to him and sat down. His eyes opened wide. Lydia, what are you doing? I'm done running, she said. You saved me. You treated me like I mattered. You deserve someone younger, he said softly. I want the man who carried me out of the snow. He swallowed hard. If I say yes, everything changes. Then let it. She asked to stay, as his wife. Jack closed his eyes, then opened them with the doubt gone. If you want this life, I'll give you all I have left. Their wedding was simple. Their life afterward was full. And maybe that's the lesson. No matter how broken you feel, there's always a door that can open. And someone who will see your worth, even when you cannot.